Really kind of, hunker down together, especially if you are in Medina County. Now we're going to take a look around downtown Cleveland here. Obviously, you're seeing the dark skies. It's nighttime now. Sunset happened a little bit ago. Sunset tonight was at 8:36, so literally 2 minutes ago. And you know how right after the sun sets, you still have a very brilliant light that's around, the ambient lighting that goes on with the sunset. And we still have that, but of course we have these clouds in play, and that is making things a little bit difficult, of course, for those sun rays to get through. But we keep going back to where our greatest concern is. We have great concern for the flooding in Lorain County, Cuyahoga County, northern portions of Medina County possibly. And that's heartbreaking too, not only for the homeowners, by the way, just another reminder, check your sump pumps, but also for the farmers. There's a lot of farmers trying to get in their fields right now. I saw some farmers planting today, and that today's rain can wash all of that out. So literally thousands of dollars could have just been washed away by these storms, and that is absolutely heartbreaking to think about. So we'll get back into tornado mode right now with our tornado warning that continues in Medina and Summit counties right now. And this tornado warning is radar indicated. We have not heard any damage reports. I have not heard about any spotter confirmation of a tornado out of any of these, but we have pictures that have been sent in of what certainly looks like the possibility of a tornado, or at least a funnel cloud. And then we also have very positive looking radar pictures to show you, and that's what we keep showing you here with this little area here. It's right now crossing over Route 94, headed toward Medina Line Road, headed into the Copley area. And of course, this one, it seems to be holding the line due east a little bit better, so we're going to put Akron on standby, West Akron and Akron on standby. Barberton, I think this is going to go north of you, but Norton, I would have to say, if you're on the north end of Norton, if you're up by the reservoir, hang on, because it looks like things could, just hunker down in the basement right now. If you're out around Stimson Road and whatnot, that kind of dividing line between Copley and Norton, just keep that in mind if you need to be in standby mode. Now, I am seeing coming back at me on my own Twitter feed, which is kind of interesting, the severe thunderstorm warning, which if we get back into warning mode, that's this orange that you see here, and that does include the second step of Medina County, just so you know. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning. We have seen a lot of hail reports. So far I haven't seen any big hail reports, but we have been getting some hail reports, getting some power outages. I'm going to retweet that right now. The news folks are reporting power outages. Not a lot of power outages, but there definitely are some power outages. And so as we go through the evening here, that is actually a good sign, I think, because we're not getting very scary looking pictures. This is out of Vermilion, and that is a car that is stuck in the water. What an unfortunate position to be in. So this is the flooding that we are talking about going on. Now, this is reported as being widespread flooding in not only Vermilion, which is in Erie County, but also much of northern Lorain County is flooded. This is the area that has gotten 3+ inches of rain literally within the last few hours. Just incredibly heavy rainfall. All right, want to show everybody the radar again, because if you'll see, you see the overlap now. See the little red boxes. Let me just take this off. There you go. See the new box? See how they just did that little overlap? So here's a new box that is showing up. And that box is the new tornado warning, so they are adjusting. Remember, we talked about it earlier, that every time we get new radar data, you adjust, adjust, adjust. So that is the new tornado warning that the National Weather Service has just issued. It's basically the same place as the other one. This is going to go till 9:30. They say it's moving east at 20 miles per hour. It is still a radar-indicated tornado. I have not seen anything that says we have massive damage anywhere, which we won't, because this just does not look to be that kind of a thing. This is not a big EF5 going through. This is not the same situation as what we have seen time and time again in the Plain States and in the Deep South. This is a smaller tornado that can cause just as much damage. It is significant when you start talking about the possibility of a high wind gust, because that kind of takes anything, trees, homes, roofs, outside of its normal capacity to contend with the wind. And when you go outside those bounds, that's when you start to get into where we could get some snapping taking place. So certainly there's a possibility of the wind gusts with this. We have seen some funnel cloud pictures earlier from Cuyahoga County. We saw some funnel cloud pictures west into Lorain County when the first tornado warning was initially issued. But now this one that we have that is in Medina County and going east is headed for the Copley area. Meanwhile, all my friends in Strongsville and Brunswick and Hinckley and Broadview Heights are still kind of hunkered down in North Royalton, are hunkered down. We still have some indication of some spin, but I'm going to go ahead and say you folks can come up and relax a little bit. So I will put out the call here. Let me just get back over here. My Twitter feed is going very slowly today. I wonder why. So I'm going to say Strongsville, Brunswick, North Royalton, and Hinckley can now come out of the safety spots. Stay vigilant. Okay, so I'll send that out right now. So that's on my Twitter feed, at Betsy Kling. I kind of keep everybody updated on that as much as I can. But again, that's a two-way street. So I like to get information as much as I like to give information, and that is pretty important. Here we are now. We have an updated radar picture. It looks like the rotation is weakening slightly, very slightly, but we still have rotation that is going on. Medina Fire Department did report a funnel cloud west of the city of Medina, and that is from my father. So thank you, Daddy, for that. That is this particular storm that we have been tracking. I'm hearing sirens going off in the newsroom, and I think that's probably coming from the scanners more than, oh, that's my phone. Ah, well, that would be my phone going off because I live in Medina. See how that works? I'm not in Medina, but I live in Medina. Okay, anyway. So that would be this particular little cell right here that we have tornado warned. That is north of Wadsworth. We're east of Medina now. So if you're in the city of Medina, you can come out of your safety spots. Hinckley, you can come out of your safety spots. Brunswick Hills, you can come out of safety spots. Montville Township, I think you can come out of your safety spots. Same for Westfield. But once we get into, and Seville, but now we're kind of north of Wadsworth along Route 162, headed into the Copley area, into my home turf here. And I remember being a kid, and we had tornado warnings, and it was just terrifying. And I know how it feels to be sitting there and going, what is going on? What should I be doing? And by all means, the absolute best thing you can possibly do is be safe than sorry. Better to be safe than sorry. If you don't feel comfortable, get to your safety spot and hang out there until you do feel comfortable. You can turn up the TV just as loud as you want. You can hear me. The warnings are going out over my Twitter feed, and occasionally I've been sending out some radar pictures as well over my Twitter feed. That's at Betsy Kling. You can follow me there. And as this storm continues to move to the east, it's going to move toward the Akron area. It's been wobbling a little tiny bit, but for the most part, it's been hugging 162, which now in this area is known as Copley Road. It's right over Sharon Township, and it is moving to the east. We'll be crossing the Medina County line area, so Medina Line Road, Greenleaf Park, if you know that. That's old school stomping grounds. That is the area where this particular storm is right now. So I'm going to send out a radar picture. Let's see, we still have the tornado warning for Summit County, Copley. Please get into safety spots. And let's do Montrose, and we'll do Fairlawn, and we'll also do Norton. So we're getting some hail pictures in that you were seeing there just a moment ago. Montrose, Fairlawn. And the reason I'm doing two things at once, and I apologize if it seems I'm kind of distracted, but is because there are some people who are in their safety spots and they can't hear me, so this is for them. So it's going out to them so they know what's going on and where things are right now. So yes, let's get an update on Cuyahoga County, because I still have a lot of people from Parma who are asking about Parma. What's going on with Parma? Parma, folks, you are fine. You do not have any current tornado warnings. As a matter of fact, the only thing we have in Cuyahoga County right now is an active flood advisory. We have incredible rain that is still falling all across Cuyahoga and Lorain counties and down into Medina County, Summit County as well. We also have some hail that's being reported. Look at this hail in Medina County. Oh boy. This again is radar indicated, so keep that in mind. This is going to be an impressive number, probably 1.8 inches. That's pretty sizable hail in there, but 2.6, that's the one I was trying to get. About 2.5-inch hail, but remember, that's inside the storm. So that's kind of a sign that we have a lot of lifting going up. Hail, the way hail is formed in thunderstorms is it starts off as a little raindrop or a little ice pellet, and it falls in the storm, and so it either melts or it gathers up more liquid, and then it's lifted by an updraft in the storm. And as the updraft carries it up in the storm, it cools off, it freezes, and so you have that process that is repeated time and time again. So if you think about it, and again, now we're getting into Copley. This is our rotation coming into Copley, hunker down Copley, and I know I've said hunker down a bunch of times. I apologize. I'm human. I say things over and over like anybody else does, but Fairlawn, Gent, Montrose, Copley, get in those safety spots, friends. It's time. But as those hailstones circulate in the storm, you would need a stronger and stronger updraft to get larger hailstones back up into the storm. So when you start seeing large hail possible by the radar, obviously that would mean that we have some pretty strong updraft winds going on. And when you have an updraft wind that is associated with some type of a circulation, that's when you're going to start to get into the possibility of some tornadic type of activity, and that's why we have this tornado warning that's going. Now, unlike the last storm, so the storm that came out of Lorain County and into Cuyahoga County, that was drifting south. This one looks like it's trying to come north just slightly. It's still right along Copley Road. It's going to come up 18, so that's Fairlawn. Fairlawn is right at the intersection of 18 and 77. Copley is at the intersection of 162 and 77. You can see that we still have those little pixels here. It looks like it's weakening somewhat, but with that hail indicated by the radar, and then also we have a lot of lightning going on. You can imagine when you start tossing ice balls, hailstones throughout the storm, that actually creates an electric charge. So when you see a lot of lightning, usually you will have hail with the storm. Likewise, when you start to see hail, you'll have a lot of lightning, and we have our sky cam. Actually, Mikey, if we want to point, or Jen, I'm sorry, Jen, if we want to point that south, I bet we'll see more in the way of the lightning. That's downtown Cleveland. We do have some low-hanging clouds that are coming through Cleveland, and we have a lot of very heavy rain that is coming into the west side of Cleveland right now. But as we pan around to the south, you know, you can see the beautiful city that is out there, and there's some of the lightning strikes that are going on south. So as Akron is south of Cleveland, of course, we're going to get into where we have the best chance of that. I have a report from Bath of marble-size hail. Thank you to my friend Virgil for that. We've also had some clouds coming in from Amanda Lauer in Wadsworth. And Amanda, honey, if you could, can you tweet those to me or put them on my Facebook page? Amanda is one of our babysitters. She lives in Wadsworth, so I know her. I trust her. Her dad is a firefighter. And if she could send those to me, those are some very impressive pictures in Wadsworth. And that is farther south. They had a little bit better light down that way when that went through. And certainly the cloud formation that she just sent to me very, very well lines up with what's going on with this circulation that we are seeing on radar. It's just like, you know, it's like being, you're trying to build a case, like being a lawyer, I guess. But you build a case and you put one fact with another fact with another fact. And the more facts that you have to put together, then you can kind of go out on a limb a little bit more. I'm not in Copley right now, obviously, but I'm seeing a number of things coming together that would lead me to believe that we have some kind kind of rotation that is going over Copley right now. Whether it is on the ground has still yet to be seen. We have not heard any indications of damage, but we have had quite a few people saying that, you know, the winds are kicking up. We're getting very heavy rain. We have hail. So all the pieces, parts of the storm are there. And as we continue to track it to the east, of course, you kind of keep in mind the greatest concern. So let's go ahead and we will track it. We're going to give this a little bit wider berth. Norton, I think you can come out of your safety spots now. This really seems to be up over the greater Copley area. That is that the moon? That's downtown. That's the clouds coming into downtown. Wow, you can see that coming in. Now we do have, of course, Lake Erie is very chilly. And we may be getting some flow coming in off of the lake, but we also have these storms out to the west. And you're going to see that cloud come in. This is reminiscent of a few years ago when we had a big batch of chilly air out over the lake that was displaced by a gust of wind. And do you remember when it looked like Cleveland was enveloped in the clouds? It looked like something out of a movie. And you can see that we have that going on right now. It looks like it's a bit of a roll cloud, a shelf cloud that builds with the outflow from thunderstorms. So if you have cold air rushing out ahead of the thunderstorm, it's going to lift up the warm air that it's running into. And that's when we get these shelf and roll clouds that form, and they look very scary. Look at the buildings disappearing as that comes in. That is so impressive as that continues to come in here live. This is downtown Cleveland live on our First Merit Bank cam. These are just low clouds. We can hear thunder overhead right now in downtown Cleveland, but you know, pretty clouds are one thing, and you know, when we have a tornado warning, it's quite another. So there we go. So now we can see that Cleveland is enveloped in the low clouds, and we're going to get some heavy rain coming in here. Let's get back to the radar if we could. We do have a good bit of rotation that's going right over Copley right now, right over the heart of Copley. This is going straight out Copley Road to the east. So west side of Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, it's time to get to safety spots. Cuyahoga Falls, the west side of Akron, is now time to get into your safety spots. I would have to say that we're getting into the valley as well. So Peninsula, you're going to need to get in there. And I know that there is a large mobile home park in the valley. You folks have some time to get over into either Peninsula or down into the Merriman Portage little village there to get into some safety spots as well. So I would appreciate if you do that, or if you have a building, a nearby house that you folks go to, that would be a really good thing to get into right now, because this is some circulation, and you can see Fairlawn, Maple Valley, Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, and Silver Lake as that continues to move to the east. City of Akron, I would say the south side of Akron, down around Kenmore, Mogadore, Lakemore, I think you guys are okay. I don't think you need to go to your basements. Barberton, no need to be in your basement right now. This is all north of you. Norton, you can come out now of the basement. You were in earlier. Come on out. But yeah, you can definitely pick out where our little golf ball of rotation is right there, and that has been moving off almost in an easterly path. There you see it, how it's been moving. It's moving just north of east. So this would definitely favor the north end of Akron, North Hill, up into Cuyahoga Falls, and then also into the valley area. The national park sits right in between. Basically, if you draw a line between Copley and Cuyahoga Falls, that's where the national park is. So those folks need to get in their basements as well. Kent, we're going to put you on standby. I have some very dear friends in Kent and Ravenna, Shalersville. You'd be on standby as well. Stowe, Hudson, let's put you folks on standby just to kind of see how this thing is going to play out. Just got a report of some quarter-size hail happening in Brunswick right now. So that was the north end of this storm. Remember I was saying 2.5-inch hail? Well, it melts as it falls a little bit, so you actually end up getting quarter-size hail that falls. So let's get back into our hail product here, and you can see we have the possibility of the hail. With the darker the color, the larger the hail would be. And where we have this darker blue color, which is right over Hinckley right now, it's about 1-inch hail. So you're probably getting dime to penny size hail out that way. Maybe something a little larger down around the Wellington area. I'd say this is just north of Wellington, possibly up to about 1.3-inch hail. But again, that's radar indicated. So as melting takes place, that would be right over Pittsfield, which is just a little crossroad in the country. It's a sweet little place, but between Oberlin and Wellington. And this hail core, this particular hail core, is also moving off to the south and the east a little bit there. So let's regroup. Let me kind of get the big picture going here. We have a new tornado warning that has just come out, and that's the hail core that we just looked at, friends. Remember, hail is such a sign of things that are going on in the atmosphere. And this is our new tornado warning now. This is Lorain, Cuyahoga, and Medina counties. And that tornado warning is going to go for about the next 45 minutes or so. We just got a new updated picture, and remember, we're looking for our reds and greens. This is just unbelievable how it's time and time and time again that we have this going on. Bree, here's my phone. If you'll call my husband for me, just check in with him. I would appreciate it. So now we have 2 tornado warnings once again. We have the first tornado warning in Summit County. Medina County, I think you're cleared from the tornado warning that went through Wadsworth and that area down into Sharon Center. But Copley, hang in there, stay in those basements, and north end of Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, stay in those basements. But now we have this new tornado warning that has just spun up that is in southeastern Lorain County. This is east of Wellington, and we'll put this on. This is what's known as shear. It's a radar product that puts a few components together, and when you get these components together, sometimes that can be an indication that we have some spin going on and shear in the atmosphere. So we do have the tornado warning. This is the one for Cuyahoga, Lorain, and Medina County that goes through 9:45. That's this box that you see here. As this continues to move to the east, you know, we were just right over the Pittsfield hail, but we have this spin. We get those reds and greens together as we have tracked before, and there it is. Let's get in a little bit closer, and we're going to track this. I'm going to put Litchfield, Valley City, Brunswick, Grafton. I'll put Columbia Station in that as well. Let's have you folks head to your basements. Let me get a little bit better track on this. It does seem to be moving due east. So Columbia Station, let's go on standby for you. Grafton, let's go on standby. But certainly Litchfield and Valley City, Brunswick, you folks probably need to get into the basement right now, especially around the Litchfield area. We're right along Route 18. Route 18 goes west to east. It comes into Medina here, and you can definitely see where we're getting some brighter colors showing up. This batch right here, where we get this conglomeration of these colors coming together, and it seems like these are just not quite doing the track that they are expected to. They keep jogging, and as they jog, you know, every time we get new information, we adjust and are constantly adjusting our area of focus, who's in the basement, who's not in the basement. So this time it's south of Lorain, south of Elyria, south of Oberlin, south of Eaton Estates, south of Avon, Avon Lake, and North Ridgeville. But it is over just to the east of Wellington, coming into Litchfield now, and that would then continue to move to the east. Let's take a look at Skycam, if we could, downtown Cleveland, because it is raining so hard, it's like freaking the camera out. Can you see that? Isn't that, it is, we're getting satellite fade and everything going on. If you are a satellite subscriber, by the way, I would have our live stream up on an app or a handheld device as a backup. Because the rain is coming down so heavy, you get satellite fade, it's rain fade. The satellite signal literally cannot make it through the rain, and so you get that rain fade that takes place. So that's our new tornado warning. Extreme southern Lorain County, southeastern Lorain County, northern Medina County. That is going to continue to move to the east. I would have to say it's going to be on the southern end of things right now. So Oberlin, you're fine. Strongsville, just stay in standby mode right now. City of Medina, I would also go into standby mode, even though that the initial tornadic storm is now east of you. It's moving into the valley area, and you'll notice it's weakening a bit as it does so. Interestingly enough, I'm going to pull out this picture just a little bit, and what I want to look at is temperatures. And the reason I want to look at temperatures is because if you joined us right at the beginning when we talked about the first tornado warning that came out tonight, we talked about boundaries. Boundaries in meteorology are probably the most underappreciated feature. And that is because, and you can see where I'm drawing right here, between the yellows and the greens, we have cool air to the northeast, we have warm air to the southwest. And where that air collides, that is a boundary, and that is energy for the storm to feed off of. That collision of those temperatures, the storms just really like that change in temperature. They sometimes a boundary can be as subtle as, you know, grass versus concrete. You can kind of extrapolate from there, but the fact that we have such a big temperature difference in the same area where these tornadoes are suddenly spinning up, that is certainly significant. Let's join Steve Berry. He's in Summit. He's a Summit County Sheriff's officer. He's on the phone now. Steve, we still have some rotation that is going just north of Akron toward the Cuyahoga Falls area. It's just east of Fairlawn, going out over the National Park area right now. What do you guys have going on down there in Summit County?
Yeah, we've got storms all the way through the county, clear to the south end, but the north end's getting hit the hardest with, like you said, the rotating winds. And we would say that the people from Akron north be prepared to take shelter at any time. That you folks would say it's getting very close, and we know that they're experiencing some serious thunderstorms.
Yes, in the valley, definitely people should be in their basements right now, in their safety spots. Cuyahoga Valley National Park area, also Cuyahoga Falls, but going up into Boston Township, Hudson, Stowe, Silver Lake. Let's put you folks into the basement now, because as this continues to move to the east, we're trying to stay ahead of it, of course. Steve, have you had any indications of any damage that's been reported? Any wind damage?
We have not had any confirmations of any touchdowns in Summit County, to my knowledge, as of about 5 minutes ago from our dispatch center, as well as no damage reported. And so far, our calls are not showing anybody calling in regarding the storms. Okay.
Well, we have had pictures out of Medina and the Wadsworth area of very visible funnel clouds, very visible wall clouds. So certainly it's even though there's not damage being reported, it's a very serious situation as that whole system continues to move through Summit County.
Correct, very correct. And we would advise against traveling, especially in the northern end right now. Get inside and seek shelter if necessary.
Okay, and a flood advisory has just been issued for Summit County as well. So now we have a flood advisory for Summit County. So Sheriff's Deputy Steve, be very careful as you're out driving around. I know there's some spots that really flood easily, especially down in the valley and points around. So be careful as you're driving around and keep us up to date with everything that's going on.
Okay, Betsy, we'll do.
Thanks so much. Be safe. All right, so that was the tornado warning continuing in portions of Summit County, central Summit County specifically. We are still getting some weak rotation. It is weak. It is much weaker than what it was. If we back the picture up a few frames here, you can see how much it was well defined in Medina County. Amanda, my babysitter, as I mentioned, she texted me a picture. It had a very vivid wall cloud structure on the bottom of a storm, so that was definitely something, and that was probably during this time when it was coming together. And then as it crossed over into Summit County, you could see it weakened somewhat. Now we do have the storms that are going on up over the radar still, very heavy rainstorms, so sometimes that can cloud the radar picture. You can see between, you know, Akron and the radar, there's a lot of rain and a lot of hail that's falling. But certainly as you know, you track everything, again, we're putting all the facts together, and as you put the facts together, you adjust and you can extrapolate from there. Here's a look at the hail that's going on, and you can also see our severe thunderstorm warnings. Lorain County, we have those flood advisories, Cuyahoga, Summit, Medina, Lorain counties. That flood advisory continues. Very, very significant flooding taking place right now in Lorain County and also in Vermilion. This is video out of Brunswick that we have just gotten in of hail that is falling. That looks to be, I'd say, dime size hail. Yeah, that looks about dime. Maybe some of those are up to nickel size hail, but you can see it's coming down pretty good. That'll ping off the roof and probably wake some folks up for sure. And boy, tonight's going to be one of those nights where it's really tough to get the kids down to sleep, trying to get everybody settled down. But you know, we can do it. Just everybody hang in there. And as I've told you before, we're all in this together. So we still have our tornado warning that's going on in the extreme southeastern corner of Lorain County. That's right here. We are just west of Litchfield. So my Litchfield friends, you're in your basements. I mentioned the city of Medina on standby. I put Brunswick Hills, Valley City into basement mode right now. This is not a significant circulation that I'm seeing, but it is still some rotation and certainly something that bears some watching. So I know everybody is kind of getting tired of up, down, but this is unfortunately what we have to do in these types of situations. And, you know, I back it out a little bit, and I want to show you again, as the light bulb goes off in the brain sometimes, my temperature map. And the reason this is significant is I'm going to draw that line. This is that boundary line. Now remember, I was telling you that the storms are drifting east, but the circulations that's showing up in the radar, they keep going to the southeast. And the reason they are going to the southeast is they are following right along this boundary. And as the boundary changes inside the thunderstorm, where you get rain-cooled air that's mixing it up with other portions of air around the thunderstorm, that's why we're getting the jogs taking place, and that's why this is kind of doing its own thing as far as moving around a little bit. And, you know, looks like now we have a new tornado warning. We do. Let's zoom in again. Now, this is an adjustment. Remember, we are constantly adjusting. So we just had this tornado warning that was issued for the northern end of Summit County. And I am a little stupefied on this one. This is a little bit of a messy picture. So let's just go through it together. There's the original circulation that's going through the valley. This is moving into cooler air. Remember, we have the cool air east, we have the warm air west. So this is going to move into cooler air. My guess is that this is starting to fall apart. We have, let's back this up. Let's get some rocking going. Okay, so we have another area of circulation right here. It looks to me there might be two separate areas of circulation there. And we also have one right here as we're trying to follow this all along this boundary. So these particular spins are following the temperature boundary, and the storms themselves appear to be stalled. So that actually creates a whole bunch of problems for flooding. We are going to have some very, very, very bad flooding going on tonight in Lorain and Cuyahoga and Medina and Summit counties. This area, and I know, you know, out in Vermilion they've already had it, but this area right here, this is where we're going to end up getting a lot of flooding, because I don't see these storms going south anytime soon, and they're just kind of building and building and just dumping rain in the same spot over and over again. And let me get this fixed. There you go. There's some of what we're dealing with this very, very bad flooding. Do we have anybody in Lorain, by the way? 4.5 inches of rain in the city of Lorain. That is just so unfortunate, and that's just bad news for a lot of basements, unfortunately. Yeah, this is earlier that we got in flooding that you can see. I mean, the roads are turning into rivers, and just another reminder that nobody should be playing in the water, going in the water, putting their feet in the water, anything like that. Now, interestingly enough, I do want to show you this. We're going to go back to Litchfield, and the reason we're going back to Litchfield is because the Weather Service radar. So the Weather Service radar, it scans the skies, and it is just gathering data like crazy. There's all kinds of data that comes into these radars. And then once that data comes in, it's processed. And there's all these little computer programs that work it out, and they spit out various pieces of data that we can then easily consume. And one of those pieces of data is called a TVS, a tornado vortex signature. That is significant because that's the radar going, hey, this is a very interesting radar feature right here. And the area that you see circled just had a TVS put on it by the radar. So that's why we have this tornado warning, and that's the Litchfield area. Now remember, I had said just a few minutes ago, Medina, I put you on standby because it just seems like this tornado, this spin, which if we back it up, look at this. Look how it's just going to the southeast. It's not going to the east. It is going to the southeast. So Litchfield, you should be in your basements. You should have been in your basements. But now Chatham Township, Medina, City of Medina, Lafayette Township, that you folks should be in your basements right now. Please get into your basements right now. and that would include my family. So, Bree, if you have my phone again, I would really appreciate it if you would call my mom and dad and tell them to please get everybody down into the basement. I know they're probably listening anyway, but I just need to make sure. There's Mom's phone number. Please give her a call. So I'm in this with you guys, folks, because now my family is in the basement, and it is a very disheartening situation to be sitting here talking about this, knowing that I'm sending my own family to the basement. That's some pretty intense stuff. I've only had to do that one other time, and it wasn't quite like this. So just putting that out there for you. Thank you for your patience with me a little bit if I slow down. Let's get back to Cuyahoga County, Cuyahoga Falls and Summit County. We have that circulation that we were tracking before. It is holding together. So Stowe, you're certainly in this. Kent, I'm going to put you folks in basement mode right now. And then also up into Shalersville. So let's draw a line, and this is all the areas. We're in Cuyahoga Falls, so we're going to just go east a little bit. This is falling apart somewhat, and my hunch is that this will take a little bit more of an easterly track than the others have. But Cuyahoga Falls, Talmadge, Kent, up into the Streetsboro area, we're going to shoot that right down the middle into the Kent area, and talk about putting you folks in your basement. And that would be Hudson. You're in that general, you're just north of there, but down into Silver Lake. I think that area probably should get into the basement, as well as Stowe, of course. Stowe, Kent, they go together right along Route 59, Ohio 59. We're just going to take this off to the east. And as we do so, we're just going to kind of keep an eye on it. We have a lot that's happening at once here, and as it's doing so, we're certainly just going to take one step at a time. We'll get back into Medina County now. Bree is writing a note down for me, so hopefully that is good news. As my family is in their basement in Medina County. And again, I want to say, the tornado warning is up here right now. And I would never, ever go against the National Weather Service as far as what they say. They issue these boxes for a reason, the way that they issue them. But as I have told you time and time again this evening, every time we get a radar update, we need to adjust. And we have adjusted for our coverage purposes down to the south a bit. And you can definitely pick out, watch right here as this is coming southeast. We'll back it up. See how that red and green together? This is the circulation that we're talking about. Watch how that kind of moves down to the southeast. It's not really going east. So the good news is it seems to be dissipating somewhat. And it's moving into an area that is currently not tornado warned, but there's the new tornado warning. There it is. So there's the new tornado warning based on that information I was just showing you as we adjust. Now, interestingly enough, we have Wayne County that is now a part of this tornado warning. So southern Medina County, Wayne County now under a tornado warning. We still have the tornado warning active for Summit County. I have a feeling Cuyahoga County, you guys are safe. Cuyahoga County, everybody can come out of the basements right now. Hang with me, but just come on out of the basement. Lorain County, everybody except, let's see, maybe Grafton. Actually, you know what? All of Lorain County can come. The circulation is just to the southeast of Litchfield right now. That's where it is. It's this kind of elongated area. So Lorain County and Cuyahoga County, you are severe clear. At least you can get out of the basements. We still have some very intense thunderstorms going on. Yes, so we now have this new tornado warning for that area of circulation that I was just tracking and saying that it wasn't exactly doing the path that it initially was expected to do. That is moving off to the south and the east. And as it continues to do so, if it continues to move along that boundary, remember our temperature boundary, this would be the track that I would take it on, which would go right down over Seville, down into Lodi, so between Lodi and Wadsworth. As this continues to move off to the southeast. Chippewa Lake is in there, Gloria Cleanse, and as I mentioned before, we have Lafayette Township, Chatham Township in Medina County. This is the immediate area. City of Medina, you are technically in this warning. Actually, you are right now in 3 different different tornado warnings. The city of Medina is currently in four different tornado warnings. There's the one to the north, the new one, the old one, and then the updated, adjusted one. So there's a lot going on. But needless to say, city of Medina right now seems to be kind of shooting the gap. Now, when I say city of Medina, I mean downtown city of Medina. Valley City and Brunswick, you are not in this. Litchfield, stay with me. You're still in your basements, hopefully. Chatham Township, you're in your basements. Lafayette Township, Chippewa Lake, Gloria Glens, Lodi, basements. Guilford Township, get ready. You should probably get in that basement very quickly. Burbank, same for you. But we are going to take this down into the Milton, Wadsworth areas. And as this continues to move off to the southeast, let me track this real quick. We're going to give this a really wide berth because it just seems to be a little diluted. But Medina, Montfield, Westfield, Canaan, and Wadsworth. So those are the areas that we're keeping an eye on right now for these this tornado warning as these spins start to move right along that temperature boundary that I was just mentioning. And interestingly enough, these type of storms, these are not the giant supercell mega storms that we see out in the Plains states. So this is not, you know, a mega super tornadic outbreak that we're dealing with. This is going to be spin-ups. This is lower end, low wind speeds, probably 60 to maybe 120 mile per hour wind speeds, if anything's even touching down. We've had a lot of pictures of wall clouds. We've had pictures of funnel clouds, but we have not heard any confirmations of damage. We've not had any power outages significant. So, you know, that is good news out of all of this. And if we get back into Summit County here, we're right over Cuyahoga Falls. The spin is holding together right here. Okay, see how that is, that little pocket, and you can kind of see how that is tracking, and it's falling apart a little bit. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's good news. That's good news for the city of Kent and for Stowe, because that is moving to the east, right, out Route 59. Barberton right now, you folks are good. Copley, I think you're in the clear. Fairlawn, you're in the clear. West Akron is in the clear. Montrose is in the clear. Gent is in the clear. Richfield also cleared right now. But we have these two areas of concern. One is right over Lafayette Township in Medina County, which is, you can see it's very kind of conglomerated there. It's very diffuse. It's not extremely well defined as this one over here, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We obviously have some rotation that's taking place, but we also have a lot of rain and hail that has been coming down in here, and that gets picked up as well. We'll check in quickly on our hail products here and just to peek and see what kind of hail we may be getting. Remember, the hail melts as it falls, so what the numbers that I show you, sometimes you can cut it as much as 3/4 to a half. So if we're getting 1.6-inch hail on radar out by Litchfield, then maybe we could say it's quarter-size hail. I think that'd be a pretty fair estimate, maybe dime to nickel-size hail. So we're in the change on the lower end of things, definitely. Just had a question, should Medina take cover? I would say if you're in western Medina, yes, definitely take cover right now. We have a ton of rain, we have a lot of lightning, and we have the hail that's coming down. But as far as that rotation and circulation, most of that is going to be west of 57 right now. So 57, of course, comes from Wadsworth right up into Medina and then jogs north before it goes over to Elyria. But we are southwest of Medina. Lafayette Township is southwest of Medina. If you take 42 out of Medina and you head down toward the Ashland area, you're on 42 that goes through Lodi and all that. That's the area that I'm talking about, between Medina and Lodi. And as that continues to move to the southeast, it's following that temperature barrier, that temperature gradient that it just kind of seems to be riding along. It's not extremely well defined, but it's trying to hold something together there. And you can see our other little area of circulation that we've been watching that's out in Summit County is definitely falling apart. We're seeing that weaken quite a bit right there as it moves into the Stowe area. Probably still a potential for some gusty winds. There's still technically a tornado warning on that one. But as you can see, We do have that circulation that is just about to go into Portage County, so it'll be interesting to see if the National Weather Service decides to issue a warning for Portage County. I'm not sure why the Lorain and Cuyahoga County tornado warning still is going. I am not seeing anything of significance in that area right now. I would say that warning was issued for the storm, the stuff that's now down in Medina County. So as we, let's pull out a little bit. Let's do this. Let's get it, just reset. There we go. Okay, so there you see the storms. And remember, we have a twofold problem that is very problematic. Number one, we have the rotation that's been happening, and the rotation is happening because we have these thunderstorms. They came in, and there is a temperature gradient that lies somewhere in here. And that is kind of the path that all these little circulations and spin-ups are feeding off of. And that is why we've seen a lot of these, especially up in Lorain County earlier, fading to the southeast rather than going due east like the storms were. The other problem is incredible rainfall. These storms are very slow moving and they are prolific rain producers. This is just 1 hour worth of radar data that I'm rocking back and forth here, and you can see that it is just not moving all that much. We get those very dark reds. That's an indication of extremely heavy rain, and we have that rain that has just been falling over the same exact area time and time and time again. Now, the tornado warnings that we currently have include Medina and Wayne counties, and the Medina and Wayne County tornado warning goes till 9:45. That is radar indicated. All of these are really radar indicated, and then we're getting information in from sheriff's offices and whatnot that we have the possibility of also the wall clouds, funnel clouds that have been spotted as well. The Cuyahoga, Lorain, Medina tornado warning, which I think right now is not needed, is till 9:45 as well, but I think that one probably can be and soon will be canceled. But, you know, the National Weather Service is in charge of that, so certainly props to them because they have a lot going on as well as they're trying to deal with this. And then we have the Cuyahoga and Summit tornado warning, which, you know, we've just got a whole bunch of different circulations that have popped up along this little temperature boundary that we've had going on. And certainly that makes things very complicated. That was this little one right here, right there. And that one, I didn't see anything significant on radar. We may have had some people saying that there was some rotation coming out of that one. But, you know, as this kind of continues on, there's just so much that's going on together that it makes it very difficult all at one time to do that. I'm going to move where I have access to one of my radar products right now and one of my data feeds into another computer. Hang in there with me. If I can remember my password, which is always a good thing. So we have, you know, the various tornado warnings that are going on right now, current. There are several of them, and they do overlap in many cases. So I'd have to say, you know, if you put all the red lines together, Medina County would be the area where we have the most action taking place. But we do not have extremely well-defined areas of circulation still. There is still an area of circulation in Summit County. That would be this one that's out here. It is falling apart in my estimation. And we also have the circulation that was coming out of Lorain County into Medina County. That would be this one right here that seems to also kind of becoming more diffuse and falling apart. And if we keep rocking back and forth, yeah, there's a slight bit of rotation in here, and that's continuing to move off to the south and the east. That would be in this old tornado warning that we have going on here. Boy, what a night. I mean, this is just one after the other in the same exact place. And it gets very confusing for everybody, unfortunately. Get back into this chat real quick. Okay, so there's our temperature gradient that I keep mentioning, and that's giving these storms a lot of energy. It's also probably aiding in their spin. We have rain-cooled temperatures right here, but all of this, look at 75 still right now in Mansfield, while it's 67 in Ashland. If we get a check of the winds right now as well, most of the winds are now coming out of the south, but you can see the winds here it's a change in direction. So we have an east wind in Ravenna, a southeast wind at Akron Canton, and a south wind in Worcester. So if you kind of take it, like if we were to release a balloon right now in Ravenna and it followed the wind path, it would look like this. And that is rather interesting as far as when you start to put things together for the possibility of spin going on in the atmosphere. So we do have several areas where we are concerned. The other big concern, as I've mentioned a few times, is the rain. And we have very, very heavy rain that has been falling today. We have some new colors that are starting to show up, unfortunately, in Lorain County. We have in excess of 5 inches of rain. Radar estimated 5 inches of rain that is popping up, and there's that flooding video that we saw earlier, and as you can see, just torrents of water going straight down the road, and certainly that is not very good for people's basements because as you can imagine, those basements are probably filling. The sump pumps are probably starting to have some issues as well. And there's the bigger picture where we get the blues and the purples. That's where we have very, very heavy rainfall that has come down across the area. And obviously that is causing a pretty significant problem right now. I am trying to get this to work and it's not making me happy. And hang in there with me, guys. I'm still with you. Okay, so the lightning continues. I mean, this is just a loud night. I know that is something that a lot of people think plays into severe thunderstorm warnings and all this. It actually doesn't. Lightning strikes are one of those things that they're kind of a harbinger of other things that are happening. If you get a lot of lightning strikes in one area, sometimes that can be a sign that we have a lot of hail going on. And as we've seen, we do have a lot of hail happening. We also have all this rotation taking place. In the last 5 minutes, there have been 694 lightning strikes in that area that you see there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counties. In 6 counties, we have had 694 lightning strikes in the last 5 minutes. That is just significant. And unfortunately, that does not make things any easier for anybody because I know the dogs and the cats and the kids, everybody gets scared of the thunder because the thunder is so loud. But it definitely does wear on you after a while when you're just hearing constant roaring, and I'm sure you're probably pretty tired of listening to me as well, and I can certainly appreciate that too. So let's just kind of back it up, get that big picture out again. We have a couple different areas that we are tracking as far as the possibility of rotation. You know, we're trying to get the most severe, the most defined. Look at how that storm is moving. Notice here, notice this one is coming this way, and watch this one go out this way. You can just see them split like that. See how they do that? So we've seen a lot of lightning strikes in Summit County, so we'll be looking to see if that one's going to surge. And there it is. We have a new tornado warning that has just been issued for Summit and Portage counties for that same area of circulation that we were tracking before. And that same area of circulation is just now coming into Stowe and Kent. It backed a little bit. We had it weaken, and it backed, and now it's coming together again. And that's right here. It's right over Stowe, so if you're in Stowe, you should be in your basements. And we're going to take that right to the northeast. Ravenna, Kent, you need to be in your basements. Let's take it up into the Parkman area, Streetsboro, and then Hiram. So the northern third of Portage County right now is under a tornado warning. That is a new tornado warning for this area of circulation that we're seeing. We've been tracking this over 3 counties now, that this particular area of circulation has been coming through. And that is a new tornado warning that was just issued for Portage and for Summit counties that you can see there with the light up. And we are getting some definite circulation that's showing up on the radar. You know, we talk about those reds and greens together. We're getting it right there. It's going outbound here, coming back toward the radar here. And we start to get into some brighter colors, and that is certainly an indication that we have some spin taking place. But as we've seen in previous tornado warnings that have happened this evening, we're still not getting any reports of damage as of right now. But certainly that doesn't mean that we haven't had any. We certainly could have some at any time with these storms as they continue to move out. The storm over Medina County, I am seeing that weaken a bit. It's just not coming together very well. It doesn't mean it's not spinning still. We are getting away from the radar. I wonder if we take a look at the other radar, the terminal radar, if we can see anything different. No, it looks pretty much the same. So that may be more of a gust of wind, a gust of straight line wind that's coming around as all these winds start to spin around and we kind of get into this convoluted area here. We still have the tornado warning for Medina and also for Wayne counties. That's till 9:45. So we still have areas of central Medina County, Chippewa Lake, Guilford Township, Westfield. You folks should be in your basements. Wadsworth, I think it's time. I think Wadsworth. I think we're going to go ahead and send you. That is definitely moving to the south. And I think if my eyes don't deceive me, maybe we can take a look at that right there. And we can see if that is, yeah, that's part of it. So we'll just we'll aim at that, but it's really kind of diffuse along this entire area here. It gets a little convoluted. We have this line, obviously, there's probably some gusty winds in there, but as far as what I'm seeing, that little area that I circled right here, south of Medina, north of Guilford Township, Westfield Township,